Today, I will give you more what the stream name says, because I'll tell you not just who the new Russian elites are, but also the importance of the elites in Russia and the story of how Russian elites have been changing in the past 30 years. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. No propaganda, BS or lies here. Only truth, common sense, and logic as usual. And some emotions too, because I am a human being. Let's talk of the very root of all evil in Russia. Do you know that Do you know what was one of the biggest amazements and shocks I got after arriving to the United States of America at the early age of 20 after growing up in Soviet Russia? That I, Konstantin, mattered, and I, Konstantin, had a chance in American life. Same chance that everyone else around me had. I was not born in America. I was not American. I didn't know anyone in America. Literally no one. I was completely alone. Me, a little guy, against the country, the new culture, the new language, the new ways, new everything, you know. And still, I had the same chance as everybody else around me. In Russia, in the country where I was born and raised, my motherland, I didn't have a chance. In Russia, to have a chance, I had to be part of the upper class, a part of a certain powerful family. In Russia, that upper class in the past was called the nobility, and now it's called the elites. The upper class has been ruling the country for the past 400 years, with very short break in the early 1990s. And I want to tell you the story, how Russian elites have changed in the last 30 years. Now, I'll start with the breakup of the USSR, because a new country was born. Obviously, in the old country, the elites had been the party members. They had power, and they ran everything. Overnight, things changed. Everything changed. Overnight, the USSR simply vanished into thin air. Our lives were nullified, and we all got the fresh start. We all became tabula rasa, so to speak. It was a mixed feeling of delight, amazement, and intoxication. We felt like we all started a new life. And for the first time in our lives, for the first time, we all were equal. And the grand race for success began. The success in the 90s was considered very simply money. The more money you made, the more successful you were. The goal of life? To make money, to become rich, to create life that you deserve. To create life that was not possible in the USSR. And the ways to get money, the ways to get that life, they weren't important. Anything went. Racket, crimes, lies, scamming, cheating, anything went. I call the 90s, especially early 90s, the race. We were racing ourselves and each other. We didn't know the direction and the destination. We just knew that we had to run as fast as possible. And we didn't even know the techniques. We didn't know how to run. We knew that we had to. And some of us were faster, smarter, or more fearless than the others. Those got ahead. They became richer. There was a name for people like that. In Russia, they were called Новые Русские, or the New Russians. Everyone else in the world were calling them, well, they were known as Russia's Novorish, or the Crimson Jackets. Those people had no taste. They didn't know how to behave themselves in the public. They had no culture. They didn't know the rules of normal society. And it was understandable. They were the part of us. They were peasants a few years before. All of a sudden, they got rich. They got nice clothing. They got nice cars. They could travel abroad and stay in nice hotels, but they were peasants down deep. So they were the ones who got ahead in the race for money. They thought they could do anything, and their money was free pass out of anything. Well, you probably have seen people like that. If you're in Europe, you have definitely seen them. In the 90s, the New Russians, the Crimson Jackets, obnoxious, loud, uncultured, I'm sure you've seen them. In every resort that you went to vacation, you must have seen them. In the Russian society, the Crimson Jackets became an embodiment of the new life, cruel and tasteless. Among those with new money were those, very few of those, with very much money. They made huge fortunes very fast. They became filthy rich in very short time. They were the winners in this race for the money. The smartest, the fastest, the most cold, deadly, and ruthless, and most often heartless. They were called the oligarchs. They were usually the people found themselves in the right place in the right time and used opportunities that basically fell onto them from the sky. For example, the directors of large Soviet factories, mines, oil wells, refineries, plants, chemical plants, etc. They used to be employees. And with some manipulations, in very short time, they became new owners of these large, extremely profitable properties, assets, businesses. The prime example of early oligarch is Mikhail Khodorkovsky, Mikhail Friedman, Pyotr Avin, Boris Berezovsky, Vladimir Gusinsky, Vladimir Vinogradov. They became billionaires very quickly. And you know what? They became the new Russian elite. They were the force that was running Russia around. They basically were running Russia, wrapping Russia around their fingers. The money was the only thing important, and they had nearly unlimited resources, unlimited money. They bought politicians, government officials. They made laws. They had their own senators. They hired entire KGB departments to serve as their security. They used money left and right to buy anything and everything, including power and fame, popularity. The oligarchs were the ones installed Boris Yeltsin as the Russian president for the second term in 1996. Without oligarchs' money, influence over Russia, and media, the oligarchs' media, Boris Yeltsin would have never become the second president of the president for the second term. He simply would not have a chance. If you remember the famous Semibankirshina, 7 large banks that were running Russia, and Mikhail Khodorkovsky was one of them, by the way, the owner of the bank called Menatep. They installed Vladimir Putin 4 years later. Yes, he was decided to be made Russian president, not voted. Decided by the few oligarchs, I think there were 7 or 8, and Boris Yeltsin's family. Just to let you know how powerful those people were. And in some ways, they were all related to each other. There was a very small world on top, and the glue that glued them all together was Boris Yeltsin's family. So basically, these people replaced Soviet party members of high level, the Politburo, and became Russia's new elites. And that was the 90s. And in the 90s, they were known as the family, because Boris Yeltsin's family and included the oligarchs, and they basically were running everything. Boris Yeltsin was just a facade, the guy who was never sober, and he simply had presidential power. Oligarchs were it. Oligarchs were the new elites. And on the first day of the 21st century, 2000, January 1st, it seems like Russian oligarchs, ever mighty, rich, and powerful, would rule Russia via their proxies, the politicians, forever. But in reality, the first day of Vladimir Putin as the president was the beginning of oligarchs' demise. I'll continue to tell you as after I ask you to help me spread today's message. Please like it helps a lot, and comment it. And if you have nothing to say, please leave a couple nice words, a couple lines of encouragement, something like that. It does wonders to YouTube algorithm. It literally helps to spread the message to so many more people. So please leave a comment. Please make reposts in the social media accounts. That also helps. And if you want to buy me a tea, I usually drink English breakfast, or a coffee, I drink in the morning, cappuccino every morning, then you can do so at buymeacoffee.com, or become Inside Russia sponsor, or patron at patreon.com. Either way would be fantastic and very much appreciated. Not necessary, but if you decide to do that, know that I am very grateful. Thank you so much. The links are down below. Now let's continue. The first day of 21st century came, and Vladimir Putin changed everything. Little did the oligarchs know that they created their own death. The country changed tremendously, and Vladimir Putin played a huge role in that change. Well, he's actually the architect of the change. Vladimir Putin was not the oligarch. He was a small guy, a person of not that huge importance. He was not the boss. He was a deputy of a deputy of a boss. And he decided to change that. He started creating a new class of Russian society, chinovniki, the government officials of different levels, from top to bottom. In Russia of the 90s, the government basically disappeared for the most part. In other words, it was still there, but the power was gone. The government did not control anything. In my previous streams, I've said many times that Russia enjoyed freedom for very few years in the 90s, but it was complete freedom. I remember those times very, very well, and you know what? I loved them. The government officials didn't have much power at all. They didn't decide much. People remembered the Soviet times, and they said no to the government. Said, you are not to tell us what to do anymore for now and forever. Well, little did they know that forever didn't last long. So to be a government official was not prestigious. It didn't pay much. It didn't have many opportunities. There definitely was no growth. It was just small stuff to get by, The governors were elected. Their deputies, their staff, underpaid, not important. In a Russian society, they were in a lower half somewhere. Small stuff. The same went for the police, the KGB, for everyone, who's part of the government. What was prestigious what was attractive, what was sexy was money. And the officials and the politicians, they were simply servants of the money. So when Putin became the president, the formula was money creates power. And Vladimir Putin started changing that. Slow at first, but faster as time went by, the government started getting more and more power back. The power that it lost when the USSR collapsed. Remember, Vladimir Putin, one of the first things he publicly said was the demise of the USSR was the biggest tragedy of the 20th century. Not World War I, with so many people dead. Not World War II, with tens of millions dead. Not, I don't know, things like Chernobyl, like Vietnam, like the wars. No, it was the collapse of the USSR. He clearly made his priorities public. Unfortunately, us, the Russians, we didn't listen. Well, Putin started beefing up the government. All he knew was the Soviet model, and I think he created this plan in his head to get back in those times. So he started beefing up government and exercising its power. He started changing the rules of the game. In 2001, one of the oligarchs who made Putin the president was arrested. His prime asset TV channel called NTV was stolen by the government. They called it nationalized. Okay, his name was Vladimir Gusinsky. Before him, in the late of 2000, another oligarch who helped make Vladimir Putin president, Boris Berezovsky, the powerhouse of the oligarchs, the oligarch of the oligarchs, okay, was forced to flee Russia because he felt threatened by Vladimir Putin, and he ended up living in London for a very long time. His company called Aeroflot, that belonged to Boris Berezovsky, was also nationalized by the government. Large mineral resource companies such as Gazprom started falling under control of Putin's friends, who became the government officials. The government became the foundation on which the Putin started building his system. In 2003, to top it off, Mikhail Khodorkovsky, Russia's richest, most powerful, most ruthless, smartest, most cruel oligarch out of them all, the owner of one of the world's largest oil companies, Yukos, was arrested and sentenced to 10 years in prison. I think he was sentenced to 14. He ended up serving 10 years. Yes, the man with the nickname The Terminator spent 10 years in prison. And right before his arrest, he made Forbes' 10 most powerful people in the world list as the owner of one of the largest oil companies in the world. And yes, Vladimir Putin arranged that. So the elites started changing. Government got more and more control. The government officials became the new elites, slowly but surely. The formula started changing. Before, it was money creates power. And then, after Vladimir Putin got strong enough, he turned the formula into power creates money. And the government was receiving more and more power, surely but slowly. They were boiling the frog. Old oligarchs either completely disappeared, running away from Russia, the smart ones like Gusinsky or Berezovsky, were arrested, like Khodorkovsky, or merely became extension of government, serving the government. People like Abramovich, Aven, Friedman started being called the wallets. The politicians and the government officials started controlling Russia, absolutely completely. And the power was creating the wealth. The governors, their teams, their employees, the federal ministers, large state-owned resource companies, all had become one large corporation. The heads, Putin and his friends, and the employees of that corporation with access to riches, the government officials. All those people, the top government officials, became the new elites, the new rich. They became billionaires. If you look at the Forbes list, you will see so many more Russians appeared in the Forbes, was it 500? That period lasted for 21 years, from 2001 to 2022, and it unofficially is called the corporation, where power created money. You see, in the Yeltsin time, that period was called the family. And the new elites were the new rich, the new Russians, the new Varish. Now, under Putin for the first 21 years, things changed into the corporation. And the new elites became the politicians and the government officials. But it all abruptly changed in February of 2022. Vladimir Putin made the decision to invade Ukraine. What very few people understood, that Putin dramatically changed Russia for the second time by that decision. He broke the system that he had been building and perfecting for 21 years. With one single decision, just like that, he broke the system. What he did was he took away power from the government officials and gave it to the siloviki, those government agencies who can use power against citizens, including the government officials. And that's the key point. They can use violence legally against everyone, including the government officials, including the politicians. That's the key point. To maintain control over the country, to keep on grabbing power, Vladimir Putin raised the stakes. He raised siloviki over the others. He changed the formula again. In the 90s, it used to be money creates power. Then it became power creates money. And now, for the past 24 months, it's been turned into violence creates power and money. The siloviki, the bosses of the armed forces of Russia, the KGB, the federal police, the riot police, Rosguardia, the Ministry of Emergency Situations, the Prosecutor General's office, the courts, all top people of the siloviki are Russia's new elites now. They are the key to Putin's power. They safeguard the Tsar. Without them, the Tsar would disappear within hours. Look at the examples. ЧВК Wagner mutiny, or recent protesting in Bashkortostan that happened last week. What would happen if not for the siloviki? It's siloviki who stand between the protesters and the government officials, and between protesters and the governor, and the Kremlin and Moscow. What would happen if not for siloviki? And siloviki, they understand their importance now so well, to a point that they will be influencing Tsar more and more. Perhaps in the future, they will influence to a point where such influence is already excessive and dangerous, if you know what I mean. Or perhaps that point of no return has already been passed. We don't know that, but that's a thought. Giving the siloviki the power created huge risks for Putin. But that's a topic for a different stream. And what happened to the government officials, such as governors, ministers, senators, lower-ranked officials? Where are they now? What's going to happen to them in the future? They are trying to grab onto their power, and some of them don't even realize what has happened. They don't realize that they're dead men walking. They are already just serving the Siloviki. They aren't the ones calling the shots any longer. And the Siloviki will be replacing them with new loyal people. This is just a matter of time. Most those who will come back from the front lines, most likely they will become a new part of Siloviki, lower level people, but loyal. To sum up, that's been 3 stages. First, 91 to 2000, the family period, and the elites were the Novarish, the new riches, new rich Russians, Новые Русские. Then Vladimir Putin was made the president to safeguard the new Russians' riches, but he outsmarted them. He changed the system, he changed the formula, and he made an entire new class of the elite, чиновники, or the government officials. And he moved oligarchs aside, and some of them he simply destroyed. And then the third period happened after February 2022, and that changed everything, messed everything up, broke everything down, and that's the war with Ukraine. Siloviki rise to power. I hope you know a thing or two of Russian elites now. But you know what? Knowing the old elites, who the old elites and who the new elites are, is not that really important. What's important to understand is that Russian society has the elites. Russian elites are the very fabric that Russian society is woven of. I started the stream with a story how I was amazed to learn that in America I could reach the top without being part of rich, powerful family, clan, organization. I could reach the top being self-made men. In America, and I think in Canada, it's also very similar. So it's North America. It was all up to me. I was the force. I could make myself. Moreover, I was expected to make myself. The society expected me to make myself. In Russia, to reach the top, I had to be born or accepted to an organization or a family. It could be, well, it still can be political, or a party, or a group, or a certain person, politician. It can be military. It can be a large corporation with government connections, etc. But I must be a part of something much bigger. And obviously now, to reach success and, to be someone, I must be a part of Siloviki. What makes America the best country in the world is equality. Everyone can pursue happiness and reach the American dream. And for as long as country has different classes, the elites, and for as long as one can be successful only as a part of the elites, just like in Russia, such country does not have much of a future. Me personally, I'm watching the Siloviki growing bigger and stronger and taking over power in Russia. I've said it many, many times. I believe that the trouble will come from inside Russia, and the Ukrainian war will be won by Ukraine from inside Russia, not from the front lines, and it will be due to the elites, new elites, Siloviki, clashing each other. Or not clashing, simply making an agreement between each other and doing things. So, taking my popcorn and watching as 2024 unfolding. Thank you so very much. It's been my message. It's Pleasure to have you here. Thank you for giving me another chance. Absolutely fantastic to have you as viewers. I'd like to invite everyone to live stream chat. Please let me know what you think. Am I off, or you think I'm right? So the feedback would be much appreciated. Thank you so very much. As usual, if you want me to see the message, please put it in caps, all caps, or put inside Russia after @ sign so it appears in large orange box. It's much easier for me to see. Thank you so very much, and let's do it. If you're here for the first time, please know that Inside Russia is the best community due to the members, you, the viewers, and the moderators who help keep this community clean, organized, and pleasant. Thank you to Lorna, Mami K, Harry Podnan, Bob S, and Amir Fazad. Fantastic people and the best mods in the world. Thank you. Okay, the live stream chat is on. Thank you so much. Fantastic to see all the viewers, all the people, all members of Inside Russia who keep on coming back every single day, the usual suspects. Thank you. And if you're here for the first time, also welcome. I hope you stay and keep on coming back. Seems like I missed a few birthdays yesterday. I apologize. Let me know how I can make it up, of course. You know, I usually sing. I can do it now, or we can wait until Saturday for a very special stream for sponsors and patrons of Inside Russia. The usual suspects. Thank you so much for coming again. I'm going to be reading the messages in all caps or highlighted in orange. Leitmotif for me. Howdy, howdy. Jimmy G, excellent commentary. Thank you so much. Very appreciated the feedback. Sam K, you are absolute legend, my friend. Thank you for coming back. Lawrence Mitchell, thank you so much. Baker Stock, thank you for the understandable information. I'm very glad that you liked it. I hope you found something valuable for you. Sirius Holger, howdy, howdy. Good to see you again. Reinhard, good Abend from Berlin. Tony Gooding, love my daily history lessons. Thank you so much. Just Terry, who can take down the elites in Russia? That's a different stream. It's really hard to explain in a few words, but basically, Putin has created this new elite, the vertical of power, Siloviki, as a very, very rigid structure. And you know, the law of physics, if something is rigid, it can take more pressure, but it snaps after a certain point. And if it's flexible, it can bend and then come back. It's not gonna break down. It's not gonna break in two. It's not gonna snap. So Siloviki is a very rigid structure, and it's gonna snap. Sooner or later, it will snap. I think it's gonna be a combination of factors, including the protesting, including some business interests, large business interests, and so forth. That's as briefly as I can explain. Erinka, thank you so much for coming. Jen Morin, good to see you. The Underdog, Bakerstock. Sherry. Sherry, good to see you too. Kerano. Veronica Mifsad, thank you. TJ, AF Ehad. Tom W, Scott Nesbitt, Angela McNall, howdy. Andrew Hodson from South Africa as usual. J.O. Cillian Ragnarsson from Phoenix, Arizona. Hope you're not freezing there. Hope it's nice and pleasant and warm. Pather Olson from Sweden as usual. Eric, thank you so much. How Marinos, good evening. Kermo, hello to Finland. Brave, thank you so much for a super chat, for supporting. No message, but your message is loud. It's been heard. Thank you. State of Virginia in the house. Guy Shard. Good to see you. Jester showed up. Now we have a real stream. Keith from Hawaii, all the way from Hawaii. Howdy, howdy. Namas 000, first time for me. Welcome. Thank you so much for giving me a chance. I hope you liked it. Grimsby, Ontario. Martin Van Owen. Is it Oyvin or Lovin Francesco? Always clear, informative. Thank you so much, friend. Guy, what the fudge? Abramovich had Boris's company, but Litvinenko didn't stab him in the back. Well, it just tells me that you know a thing or two about Russian politics and the Russian oligarchs. If you tell me the name of Litvinenko, then yeah, you know what you mean. You know what you say. Finn French Gaming, добрый вечер, howdy howdy. Good to see you, Finland. Sophie Ian, long time no see, good to see you. Heine Nissen, thank you so much. Nottingham, England, good to see you, Marie Nissen. Sam K, the Ukrainian army lit Putin's birthday candles with a drone and put his... Paula McDonald, howdy, good to see you again. Mods told me that you stopped by and said hello. Fantastic to see you. Breton Hart, thank you very much from Canada, Newfoundland, Canada. I appreciate the support. The words are absolutely priceless. Thank you so much. And Joe's Rames, the serial sponsor gifter, just gifted 5 sponsorship to 5 people. Thank you so much. Diana Newton, howdy. Warm but raining here today. Nice, warm and dry here in Tashkent. Veronica, thank you so much. Luigi Aqua, you know what? Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. That's what I always say. When I speak to people here in Uzbekistan, to the Russians, to my wife, this is what I always say. These people who created this mess, they're gonna burn in the fire of the revolution, because the revolution, it's children. David Murray from Belgium, howdy howdy. Mag from Yorkshire or Yorkshire, UK, the UK. Terry Carter is, as usual, from Pulaski, Virginia. Howdy. Ron Mullard, you know your country better than me, so I cannot disagree with you. Well, you can challenge me, you can learn, you can disagree if you make an educated opinion. I studied quite a bit, and I know the history of the country. I lived through it, or at least through most parts of it. Thank you so much for coming, giving me a chance, and commenting. Thank you. Congratulations, Lorraine. Lorraine Proznovsky is the sponsor for 25 months. She is the oldest member, the longest standing member of Inside Russia. So thank you, Lorraine. She's been way before the war started. She was part of Russia. She's been a part of Inside Russia way since before the war started. Boris, hi Konstantin. Personally, I have never believed in money rules the world. Power comes in many forms. See Jack Ma, and all his money couldn't protect him after just one false sentence against the CCCP system. Boris, I agree with that. But Russia, you see, it was a transition period, and it was a very strange time. The Soviet Union, the communism fell apart. It's not really communism, but we call it the communism, and the capitalism was born, but was not mature enough. And people were reinventing the wheel, so to speak. It was a completely fresh, young society. And then in that society, money did rule the world. Money bought power, but not for very long, for 10 years. And then, just like you're saying, the wheels started turning. If it wasn't for Putin, that would have been somebody else. FICO claims there's no war in Kiev. I'm not sure who FICO is. I'm sorry. Craig Savarese, Professor of Modern Russian Studies. Thank you. I'm flattered. Thank you so much. Sherry French, NATO is having its first exercises in 40 years. Well, good for you. Good for NATO. Pinda the Peanut from Rotterdam. I can't believe it's windy and cold. It's supposed to be nice. That's at least what we always think of the Netherlands. It's nice and warm and pleasant at all times. Crusader Damien, thank you so much for coming back. UK, Canada, Germany, and Poland have signed security agreements with Ukraine. What is the Russian reaction? Will Ukraine be Putin's flashpoint for war? With who? With UK, Canada, Germany, Poland, and the entire NATO? Of course not. Look, they're deathly afraid of NATO. I know that because that's what they showed. When the Russian rockets flew, it was supposed to be Russian rockets, turned out to be Ukrainian, flew into a territory of Poland and killed a farmer. Oh boy, Russians freaked out. They started running around, literally, everyone, from Zakharova to, I think, Putin, and screaming, wasn't us, wasn't us, wasn't us. Don't blame us, it wasn't us. Go figure. They're very afraid of the war with NATO. I mean, look, they're barely standing ground, probably not even standing ground with Ukraine. Imagine what happens if all NATO countries join. Crypto Minter, I think the new elites of Russia is not Russians, it's Iranians, Chinese, North Koreans, and Africans with rich Arabs. Disagree with you, friend. I disagree with you. Chinese might become in the future. Iranians will never become. Africans will never become. Arabs, they don't need to become Russian elites. They're their own elites. And North Koreans, I don't care. They care about anything except for continuing doing what they've been doing. Okay, so I think so far the new elites are those folks that you can see on the thumbnail in my stream picture. Pamela J. Now I know why step 3 of the speech is to tell them what you told them. Summarize, repeat. I'm not sure I understood, Pamela. Diana Newton from South Texas. Howdy, howdy. Everything is bigger and better in Texas. We know that. There are people who are fans of Texas here in Uzbekistan, believe it or not. Christine Frost. Hello, been off the net, but bit for mental health, but I'm back. Sending love. I'm sending love to you from Uzbekistan. Thank you so much. KG1, are the elites being promised Ukrainian land and the resources? They're being promised better. They're being promised and they're given Russia. Russia is so much richer than Ukraine and the new lands. If you want to know my opinion, the new lands is trouble. The new lands is resistance. The new lands is death. The new lands is sanctions. You just go to the new lands and you'll be cursed forever by the world. These powerful people don't need that. Okay, they have Russia. Why would they need Ukraine? What they're doing with the new lands right now is they're stealing so much money that is being funneled there from the state budget to restore, to rebuild these lands. They're basically stealing the money, and that's how Russian politicians, Russian officials make money. But now KGB and other Siloviki start moving in and start controlling the money flows because they're the new elites. They're the new, power centers. Crusader Damien. By the way, mark my words. In 2024, we're going to be seeing more and more arrests of former officials. And perhaps arrests will be made even at the workplaces, And arrests, who will be making those arrests? The Siloviki, State Prosecutor's Office, Investigative Committee, KGB, and so forth. And this is how they have started replacing, they're already arresting, they have started replacing the old elites with their own people. Crusader Damien, for the greatest mods in the business, thank you so much. Thank you. Gloria, good evening, Constantine. Chinese premier visited Dublin. Well, business as usual, I guess. Icarus flying. Russia has more than enough for the people to live prosperously, but there's not the right enterprise or system to do so. That's a pity that the leadership acts like mafia and brings so much trouble. Well, Icarus, that's basically what I've been talking about for the past 2 years in every single stream. And in yesterday's stream, I compared Russian government to mafia. The techniques they use are absolutely same, in my eyes. Hey, look who's here. Ex-Flying Tiger. Lake Shasta is in the house. Haven't been able to watch it in a week or so. What effects are Ukraine's new attacks inside Russia having on Russian morale? Whose morale? Regular Russian people? They're being not shown the truth. They're not shown the attacks. There hasn't been any mentions of these news attacks. So there's not much of a difference on their morale. On the morale of the ones who know, they're probably not taking it easily, okay, because the attacks have been very, very powerful and important. Refineries, oil refineries, very important facilities, things like that. So they know it's bad. And I'm telling you, it's not looking good for Russia. That's my stream on Friday I made. Check it out. Ironwood Workman, good to see you. Long time no see. Was fantastic. Is Kaliningrad Oblast receding from Russia? I heard they are signing the papers. No. No, they're not. I haven't heard anything like this. They are cut off from this location. That's no. Where'd you get? What's your source? Please send me a link here, okay? Because I want to know. This is the first time I'm hearing that they're seceding from Russia and signing some kind of papers. Russian army would be right there, okay? Because that's not gonna go well with Putin. The picture for the stream looks like a very bad Beatles tribute band. Well, that's the new elites. That's the head of the armed forces, the head of the KGB, the head of Rosgvardia, the head of the investigative committee, all the big boys. Michael Martineau, no, Dontsova is not in jail. She was released. For more details, please watch my yesterday's stream. I did it just to explain what happened to her. And I talk about 10 or 15 minutes about Dontsova. That's very important. Pamtree Kate, has Russia corrupted the information on Flight Radar 24? There's some weird flights, route lines coming from the planes around Moscow. I have not followed it in years. It's still installed on my phone, but I haven't used it. Gotta check it out. Thanks for making Russia understandable. Well, you're very welcome, Cynthia. Thank you. Late and catch up. Greg, Lewis, please do catch up. Zdravko Belinsky, in my opinion, only the Russian people can stop the war. And you're absolutely right. That's my point. I've been saying that many, many times. I've said it. When I told my friends from Russia to go to protest, they started hating me. They said they can go to prison. Well, don't they live in prison? Zdravko, in their minds, they don't live in prison. They want to mind their own business, and that's what most Russians do. I made streams recently about that. Most Russians mind their own business, live in their own personal bubbles. They don't follow the news because, you know what, it's too painful. Because if you follow the news, you start asking questions. And if you start asking questions, it's disturbing. They don't do that. But you know what? They're gonna wake up one day in a very bad situation. It's already bad. It's gonna get even worse. And you know whose fault that's gonna be? Theirs. Because it's their fault, it's their responsibility. It's their country. No one else will come in and make their lives better. Only themselves. I hope they realize that one day. But you are so spot on. They don't want to talk about it. They the only ones who can stop the war. Who can change Russia, change things around, and they're not doing it. We have new sponsor, Christine. Thank you so much. Christine Frost Laser Beams. Welcome to Inside Russia. BD Blake, thank you so much. Any news from Belarus? Will they fight NATO? Why would they fight NATO? I mean, no, Lukashenko is sitting there quiet. I mean, he's maneuvering between the big powers, the big boys, and if he's offered forgiveness and immunity, he'd suddenly go back to Europe. That guy is quite something else. So nothing there's going on. Black Cat is here. Howdy, howdy, friend. If you don't stand up for your rights, don't complain at the consequences. And, Wolfie, this is exactly my words, thank you. And another thing I say is that, and I start trolling people. It's probably a mean thing to do, but I can't resist. The food lines are back in Russia, not in many places. In Belgorod, in Saratov, just a few cities. And they are for eggs mostly, and not for, eggs are still available everywhere in Russia, but eggs are expensive. And every time the cheap eggs show up on a truck somewhere, there's a food line. And there have been communal housing and communal services disasters all over Russia. Water's mains break, heat supply breaks, electricity, blackouts for electricity. And this is what I remember. That's what happened in the USSR very often. We had one day every single week, and it usually was a schedule, like Tuesday or Wednesday, that we didn't have any electricity. Our cold water was turned on at around 6 a.m. and it lasted until 9-ish, 9:30, sometimes 10 a.m. And then for the second time, they would turn it on around 5 p.m. and would keep it on until 10 p.m. And that was not pleasant, okay? So now the same thing starts happening all over Russia in different cities. I know what happened in Rostov-on-Don, in the city where I was born and grew up. And this is what I tell them. Hey, you want it back to the USSR? You are back into the USSR. Rejoice, and then one person said, well, that's not what I wanted. Oh, really? What did you want? Well, I wanted good education, good health care. I said, well, guess what? That's what the USSR was. I have very good memory, and I remember just that. And you're back there. Oh, and then he stopped talking to me. So I have my popcorn. Big one. Big, this large popcorns, caramel covered, and a big Coke right here, and I'm gonna be drinking it and eating caramel popcorn. Oh, it's a good feeling. Christine, thank you for joining us. Thank you. Liz Mailer, good to see you. Concerned Rabbit, howdy, howdy. It feels hopeless because Russian leaders don't care how many die. At the same point, business leaders need some expertise and stability. Will more system collapse from incompetence? Of course. You just wait and see. There will be many more collapses. I'm making videos, a video on a disaster that is happening in Russian aviation industry. And you know what? It's very sad, but we're waiting for the first passenger plane full of people to fall down, and it'll happen soon. I don't know when, I don't know where, but it'll happen soon. Other catastrophes also will be happening more and more. How Marinos, is the state even capable of maintaining infrastructure, or are they just going to let it fall like in the USSR? You got to understand, friend, Russian officials in charge right now, they have one purpose and one purpose only, to enrich themselves. They were given a chance. They were given a chair, a position, an office, certain amount of power, and certain control over government things. And that control extends over money. And they know that they have couple years at this chair, and somebody else will come in and, replace them. and they need to steal as much as possible to last them the lifetime. So they could care less about maintaining and fixing infrastructure, could care less. They need to enrich themselves so it's enough for the entire life. They need to go to take that money to go to France, Spain, Portugal, London, I don't know, Miami, buy houses, a few houses, create businesses, set up businesses for their wives, for family members, have perhaps gold in metal, things like that. And then once they're out of their positions, they can go to the new homes and live a nice life. And this is what their goal. No one cares about maintaining infrastructure. I mean, it's not a rocket science to supply heat into people's homes. Water, I mean... Craig, how big of a role for the war are Ukraine's vast natural resources? Tiny. I've heard different opinion, okay, and then I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, but my opinion is I don't think that Russian leadership, Putin, made the decision to go after Ukraine's vast natural resources. Just look at the map of Ukraine, look at the map of Russia. Compare how much resources Russia has. How much untapped resources Russia has. It's the richest country of untapped resources in the world. Just look at the maps. Why the heck they need to go to Ukraine? They need to ruin everything for themselves, the system that they have created, to be cut off from the banks, to be kicked out and their yachts confiscated in London and in Miami, their houses, mansions confiscated in Nice in the south of France. For what? For a few resources? They have billions and billions of dollars. Russian rich people, Putin's servants, they count their riches in tens of billions of dollars, okay? What Ukraine's resources? I think every single Putin's body is worth more than entire Ukraine, okay? I don't understand when someone says, well, they went for natural resources. Doesn't make any sense. Boris, what do you think about YouTubers who walk through Russian supermarkets to show that everything is fine and the sanctions are ineffective? In their comments, you can see that many believe them. Well, I even know a couple people personally who do that. I gotta tell you this. Those folks are not lying. They definitely go to supermarkets, as they say, and not just supermarkets, different stores, and they show what happens there. But note few things. First of all, they go to the supermarkets in Moscow or near Moscow and St. Petersburg. Moscow is not Russia. Things in Moscow are so different from the rest of Russia. If you want to really see what's happening inside Russia, go to a town of Shakhty, Rostov province, or Azov, Rostov province. Go to a store there and, film and then compare to what's happening in Moscow. That way you will be objective. Then, everything is fine. You tell me what the heck is fine? Because these good guys, they show the prices. And I compare the prices and my eyes become the size of a silver dollar. Okay? When I see the prices that they show compared to when I shopped in those very same stores in September of 2022, 15 months ago. Okay? Yes, things are still available at the food supermarkets and, pretty much you can buy anything in Russia. You can buy a Mercedes, only used to cost 3.5 million rubles. Now it costs you 17 million rubles, but you still can buy it. You still can get spare parts. You pay like 4 or 5 times extra. You can get it serviced. Just someone would take it, drives to Armenia, and then drives back. But it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, okay? You still can buy an Apple iPhone. You can still buy everything. You can buy Coca-Cola that is made in Turkey. But for goodness sake, it used to be made near Moscow. And now it's made in Turkey and they transport it to Moscow to sell it at the store. How is everything all right? Inflation hitting the record high in Russia, is that all right? The key interest rate by Russia's central bank of 16%, is that all right? What else? 85% of Russian car market controlled by the Chinese. Is that all right? Russia doesn't produce anything. Is that all right? Most of those foods that they show in the supermarkets are imported. Is that freaking all right, you tell me? So, judging by what's available on the shelves, probably it's just so shallow judgment. Ask different questions. Watch the economists. If you don't believe me, watch what the world-renowned economists say about Russia. Watch Russian economists. Watch Igor Lipsitz. I value him highly. Watch Guriev. Watch, I don't know, just I can go on and on. It's just when you go through a Russian supermarket and see that things are available, it just doesn't automatically mean that everything is fine in Russia, for goodness sake. What about 100,000 or whatever more people who are dead? Is that everything all right? What about their children, their wives, their mothers? Are they all right? What about those who come back with limbs missing? Is that all right? What about the Ukrainians killed? How many hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians? Is that all right? So you can buy food in Russia, yeah. You can buy jeans, blue jeans, you can do cars, anything. But does it make it all right? Sorry. I hope I answered your question. Lee's mailer is the key to cutting off Crimea. I think it's absolutely insignificant. You cut off Crimea and what? Rafa 85, Russians just keep their heads down. They are? Time is up. Nightbot, Lorna Mommy, I'm seeing this. Thank you. I will wrap it up. Tech Pick, are you familiar with the former advisor to Margaret Thatcher, Christopher Story, who edited the Soviet analysis? No, I'm not. Is there anything I should acquaint myself with? KG1. Apparently Ukraine has large deposits of lithium. And what? Well, apparently Russia has large deposits of gold, of natural gas. Natural gas is much more profitable than lithium, much more important than lithium. Natural gas is, oil is much better than lithium, especially when you have everything in place to extract and transport that oil to the best customer European countries. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is sit on this pipeline and chi-ching every single second, Putin's friends make tens of billions of dollars. Who cares about lithium? I'm sorry, a little emotional today. Boris, wonderful answer. Thank you. Good night. Thank you so much. Crusader Damien, Fico rules Slovakia and he's friends with Orban. Both are Kremlin stooges, traitors with Europa. They block, obstruct Article 7th should quiet them down. Crusader Damien, let me tell you something. You know how Orban is called in Russia? Our man in Europe. Yeah, I've heard it so many times by regular people, by the politicians. Our man in Europe. Yeah, he is Russia's man in Europe. By the way, Turkish parliament just ratified the decision to allow Sweden to join NATO. Now Hungary is the only country that's standing, and I think Hungary will be dealt with fairly soon. Okay, so congratulations, Sweden. Are there any Swedes out here? Congratulations, friends. Good for you. Okay, friends, I think it's time to wrap it up for today. Just before I... Tammy, thank you so much for your support. No message, but message is seen, heard, and appreciated here. Thank you. Before I invite everyone to prayer, I would like to let you know that the plan for the remaining of the week, there will be a stream every single day. Tomorrow will be World's News Update. If nothing extraordinary happens, if something happens, then of course that's going to be breaking news. Then on Thursday, tomorrow on Wednesday, there will be no live stream chat after the stream. On Thursday, there will be a usual message with live stream chat. On Friday, crazy Friday Russian news update. On Saturday, there will be live stream with for private live stream for patrons and sponsors only. That's my way of saying thank you for supporting me through Patreon and through sponsorship of YouTube. And on Sunday will be a usual message with live stream chat. So thank you so very much for coming. I hope you learned something new and valuable today, something interesting perhaps. Please keep on coming back. I invite everyone to join me in prayer. We finish our streams with prayers every single time. If you're religious, please join. If you're not, also please join. Send wishes, good wishes to people, good energy, good vibes. In my eyes, it's the same as praying. So please join us. Let's do that. Gary Bossler, thank you so very much for huge support. I appreciate no message, but it's heard and seen and appreciated, and much thanks here. Thank you so much. So let's pray, folks. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for giving us this life. Thank you for putting food on our tables and roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Dear Lord, please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful and safe. To raise them in a way that when they grow up and become adults, they will make this world a better place and will never engage in any wars. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy, as they are our world. Please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Reach out and touch the hearts and souls of people who are responsible and capable. Fill their hearts with mercy, love, empathy. Bring human emotions back in those people so they wake up from lethargic sleep and make the decision to stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Please help every single Ukrainian who's been affected. Answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. Dear Lord, please help my country, Russia. Assemble your army of the strongest angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael in shining armor and send them to this earth like a heavenly avalanche to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country, who we know by name and by face. Please help angels run Russia. Have angels help good people run Russia so it becomes peaceful again, loved, respected and respecting. Please send everyone who's traveling safe travels, everyone who's seeking for asylum of any kind help, and please send safety to everyone who is in dire straits right now, in danger. Help the Ukrainians who are under a threat, the risk of the Russian attacks. Give them safety. Bless those who are helping Ukrainians. Please help the single mothers who are struggling, raising their children, trying to make ends meet. Please help all who are hungry, sick, addicted, depressed, homeless, jobless, betrayed, who don't feel good about themselves, who feel lonely in this world, alone and cold. Please surround them with your warmth, surround them with your love, fill their hearts with love so they feel you. They feel your presence. They feel that you have not abandoned them. They feel that they have your support. Please send angels to help these people so they feel better. They feel better today and tomorrow. They will wake up and have a chance to lead happy life again. Thank you for allowing our community to come together every day and pray. Thank you for everyone who's praying along with me right now or simply watching us pray. Thank you for everyone who helps and he's helping to make it happen. Please answer everyone's dream, answer everyone's prayer, and make everyone's dream come true. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. I would like to ask for a few people. They need your help. They are Redman Half-Breed. Thank you for shining your light upon that person. And thank you for him seeing your love again. Steven's grandpa, Warren's Peace, Jay Spike, Tracy, Natalia Blaga, Eric Quinn, Dennis from Kiev, James Marstow, Gabbing with Gary, needs help with health, Frank Caprio, Jim in Houston, Frank in Texas, Paula W., please help with blood clot, Karena's mom Dorothy, please help Tim Mayers, send recovery and strength, Olga and her son Alexei, Paul Wright and his community, please send Jason Carney complete recovery, Dirk Misler, Blackhead, Avi, Sandra Dunn, Dive Crew Canada, Jill, Susie Mailer, please send her strength, send her love, send her comfort, and please let her know that you are with her and we all are with her as well. Please help Alexei Navalny, Ekaterina Duntsova, Kyle E.'s wife, Joseph Johnson, Dory, Heidi Homestead CB, and Larson's daughter Hannah, Terry Carter's fiancé and former in-laws, Electron's family, John, Kurt from Colorado, Deborah, Boggy Burger and two sons, Anonymous, Jason Connor, Jenny Stevenson, Vasilin Lubomirov, Buzz Salmon, Leslie Fleming, Taylor, Leslie Fleming's daughter Taylor, Dave, Dawn, Anna from Poland, Mike O'Neill, Lise Dumbrell, Darla, White Lightning, George Roberty, Julia Haney, Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Svetlana, Randolph, Mr. Dean Spooner and his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church, Lisa Cumrian, Grace Philosophy, EMS Paramedic Liz, Karen from Maine, David Porter and everyone who is from Chernovtsi and David Porter's family, Stefan from Sweden, Leif, Pamela J, Wayne, Susan, Jordan D. McMahon, Meta Spencer, and Elvin and his sister. Dear Lord, also please help to a little girl named Sarah. She is fighting for her life and she needs your help. Please send recovery and send strength to her and to her parents and all the children who have been misplaced from Ukraine. Don't leave them. Please send angels to help and surround them with your love and return them to their families. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Friends, thank you very much for coming, giving me a chance today. It's fantastic to have you here as viewers, as friends, as the community. You're a lifesaver. Thank you. Thank you so much. There will be a message tomorrow. World's news update is seen from Russia. I'll try to add a little bit of humor and sarcasm, for a change. It's been a few serious streams, and I would like to ask you now to do the usual. Every time I finish the stream, I ask everyone to repeat after me as loud as you can the following: Carthago delenda est.